Hey guys, Stacy here with Karma Rocks. Thank you so much for coming to my channel today. If you're new, I want to say welcome. I know I haven't been on in a while, so please forgive me there. But today I brought some new content for you. We're going to be talking about a really important topic, especially during this time and going forward in this age of Aquarius. So if you're new, welcome. I hope you enjoy all of this content. If you're just coming back after this really long break that I was on, I apologize, but thank you so much for coming back. I hope you like the video today. If you do, please give me a thumbs up and feel free to comment as well. I love getting the feedback. Make sure you click that bell notification so that you can be further notified of future videos to come. So what we will be talking about today is a topic I've been wanting to cover for quite a while, especially in the spiritual community. It seems that we get these two things lumped into the same category quite often. So those are prayer and meditation. So a lot of people think that they're the same. They're very different. They have some similarities, but are also very different. So we're going to dive into that today, and also just people that are kind of new to those types of things and those practices. We're going to dive into some of those details. So stay tuned, and we're going to jump right in now. So basically with prayer, prayer is an invocation, or it can be described as a way to seek rapport with either an object or a deity or God. I think most people would agree with the reference to God, a connection to God. It's through a deliberate form of communication. So you are actively seeking to reach this higher power, to seek this God or this deity, your higher self, whatever it may be. But it's actually something that you're actively doing and you are proactively doing as well. And it can include also, it can include praise, thanksgiving, it can include a question, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. There are different types of prayer. So when we talk about prayer, I think it depends on your background, your experience, where you come from. So there may be a lot of different practices that are involved in prayer. I think the real reason that I wanted to bring this topic up is because I definitely get a lot of people that'll comment things in videos or comment on posts on social media, say if you're having a bad day or something's going on, and they'll comment something like, I'm going to pray for you, or someone may ask for a prayer. They may ask for you to pray for them. Some people get really uncomfortable with this topic, and I think that's really just maybe possibly a lack of education or empathy for the other person and their belief system. So I do think it's directly, I guess, affected by that person's belief system, or rather it is manifested by that person's belief system, and whatever they come from or experiences they come from is what prayer means to them. So I definitely look at it as a very positive thing, but I do see some people get offended and they don't like to hear that, or they don't like to say prayers, or they get upset when other people pray. And again, we're going to dive into that just a little bit today and discuss what that means exactly. So there are different types of prayer. I would say probably the most common is like a ritual-based prayer, or like a group prayer, and that could be something as simple as being in a church or some type of ministry or organized religious institution, and having people say a prayer all together, or possibly people that want to say a prayer before dinner or before a ball game, or some major event before they go into a courtroom. It could be a lot of different things. So it is kind of almost ritual based, where it's done as a group, or it's got a certain set of techniques that it goes by, or even steps that it goes by, or even just in an order something is said specifically. So that's kind of a ritual based prayer. There's also, though, like hymns. So I would consider that to also be somewhat of a prayer. So and that goes for any religion. You know, if you're singing a song and you're singing hymns, people singing together, coming together, and that energy coming together can also be considered a prayer as well. All right, so another form after hymns might be even like an incantation, or it's kind of similar to a mantra or a saying. Sometimes you'll see people will have like the Lord's Prayer or something that's from their religion, where they're kind of reciting something, and maybe everybody's saying it all at the same time, so it's kind of said together, and it's sort of either chanting some type of statement or mantra or prayer. But it's basically all said together, and everybody's saying the same thing with these intentions, and putting their energy into it by all kind of joining together in that unity, and in a community usually type setting, and they're saying these prayers all together. All right, now something that I'd like to bring up is with prayer is that generally it can be for praise or giving thanks to something, giving thanksgiving, but also a lot of times it's asking a question. So like I mentioned earlier, when people will say things like, hey, will you say a prayer for me? I'm going through, XYZ, or, keep me in your thoughts and your prayers and things like that. So they're sort of asking for some assistance from a higher power through this wording and this prayer. So it is posing a question with hopes that whatever they are choosing to pray to will give them a solution to the problem. So I do want to make that clear, because we're going to get into that just a little bit later when we talk about meditation. But it's like I said, it's usually the form of a question and answer, and you're awaiting an answer. So you may say, I'm praying for this new job, or I'm praying that my situation improves. And so you're asking a question, and you are acknowledging the fact that whatever it is you're asking for, you don't have. It's not in your life at the time. So, if you're asking for this new job, it's you may not have a job, or you may be in a really bad job or something like that. So you're asking for a better situation to happen. And it's also usually done because you believe in the power of your words and what you're saying. You believe in posing this question to something higher and greater and more powerful, and you believe that it will give you the answer that you're seeking. So I'm going to leave that there. There's also some religions and belief systems that will include objects. So I've seen things such as like, rosaries, obviously, things like that, or just different trinkets or objects that have had prayer spoken over them. Or sometimes you'll see like a religious card that will actually have a prayer or a saying on it, so that people can actually carry that with them. So not exactly praying, but carrying the prayer with you, and I guess possibly the energy of whatever prayer was placed or power was placed into that object. You're carrying that with you as backup or as protection, or to aid you in your own prayers. I also want to add that there's also something physical that happens with praying. A lot of times when people are praying, they are, eyes are closed, hands together, kneeling. So there's actually a physical movement that also goes along with prayer. I don't know if that's intended to put extra energy into the prayer, or it's a form of submission to this higher deity to say, hey, I'm bowing, or I'm on my knees, I'm submitting or surrendering to my question. And so that's some type of a form of maybe even kind of just full surrender and letting go and trusting and having this faith. So it's all about this faith. So whenever you're asking the question, you're hopefully believing that you're going to get the answer, and you're having this faith in whatever it is you're asking, and you're simply leaving it up to God or the universe. Right, so moving into meditation. So I get this one a lot. A lot of people that are starting to come into the spiritual community are very new to meditation. They've most likely heard about prayer, but they are very new to the topic of meditation, how to do it. They say things to me like, I don't have the patience to sit still and let my thoughts go or meditate. So meditation's really simply, there's many forms and we'll get into that, but it's just described as different techniques that are used to sort of help bring focus and awareness to your subconscious mind and your conscious mind. Attention, obviously, to your inward self, mindfulness, and it's believed that it can even shift your consciousness as well. So it's a little different than prayer, where, as we talked about, prayer being more as a surrender and seeking an answer to a question being posed or giving thanks. Meditation is more about using different techniques and strategies to sort of go inward and sort of bridge your subconscious mind and your conscious mind together. So it's a little different. A lot of times when people go into a meditation, they're not specifically asking a question. They may or may not. They may have something on their mind. They may be seeking an answer, but they're going into the meditation with the intention to come out of the meditation with that answer. So I think that's one of the striking differences between meditation and prayer, is that you're going in with this intention to figure out or solve a problem during the meditation. Now we are going to talk about the different types of meditation. Usually I think when people are just starting out on the path, they want to start with something such as a guided meditation, which makes a lot of sense, because if you're new to meditation, it's kind of hard to know what to do when your thoughts are wandering or your mind is wandering and you're trying to sit and focus and do this meditation. So a lot of people will turn to guided meditations. And one form of guided meditation is imaginatory or illusion-based meditation. And basically what that is, whether it's guided or not, it's a meditation in which you allow your mind to sort of take this imaginary journey. You're creating things in your mind. You're creating where you're at in your mind, your surroundings, colors, objects, people you may meet, conversations you may have. You're literally creating with your mind these scenarios. So I think this is a really good technique to use if you're trying to manifest things into your life or attract things into your life, because it's helping you to sort of start to envision you already having them. So it's putting you in a position where you are imagining that you are in this world where all those things that you are wanting are already with you. All right, so another type of meditation is breathing. So a lot of times this is a really good beginner one also, is doing different breathing exercises or breathing meditations. And that's just simply where you are bringing an awareness to the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe and paying attention to your breath. So it's sort of helping you to have that mindfulness that meditation is known for. You know, a lot of times we're just involuntarily breathing. We're not paying attention. We're not paying attention to us holding our breath, or, you know, if we're in a stressful situation, sometimes we do tend to do that. So it helps us to regulate our breathing, bring awareness to our breathing. I've seen this technique even used in other types of spiritual practices, such as yoga, and even just different types of like exercise workouts and things like that. I had a big background in my past in fitness, and we did combine different breathing techniques with exercise. So that's also another popular method to use, because it does help you just bring a total awareness to your body. So I think a lot of times, like for example with prayer, it's not so much about mindfulness and yourself. It's more about opening up and seeking these other things. Whereas doing a meditation, especially breathing, is you're totally focused on yourself. You're staying in the present moment. So your mind is not in the future, it's not in the past, it's focusing on exactly what's happening right that second. Now, these are all forms of what I would call passive meditation. So passive meditation, kind of like prayer, is where you might see yourself with your eyes closed. You might be sitting in a lotus position. You might have your hands out. A lot of people practice that because they want to have an openness to receiving these answers, whatever they're looking for. So they have their arms out in an open type of fashion. So that's what I would call a passive meditation, but there's also something I would call an active meditation. An active meditation is something that you can do anywhere, anytime, and you do that with your eyes open. So for example, you could find something to focus on or look at. Don't pick the sun. But you could pick something to stare at or look at, the sunset or an object in the distance, or a clock. I've heard of people actually even staring at a clock and the hand going all the way around as they think about something positive or something they're trying to focus on or trying to manifest. So that is something you could totally do anywhere. That way, if you're at work and you need to take a break and just really re-stimulate your mind by, first calming and grounding your mind through a meditation, that's a way you could do it with kind of going unnoticed and people not looking at you crazy because you're sitting, on the floor by your desk with your hands in a lotus position, like, meditating right there. So that's a form of active meditation, and those are both really effective. So now that we've kind of discussed the differences between the two, I'm going to talk about how they sort of get confused to be the same, how they could be the same, and what are the major different outcomes that come from each one. So as I mentioned, prayer, and I do want to say too that I consider both of these to be very positive. I don't judge people for whichever their preference may be on either one. I just kind of want to paint the picture that they are a little different. They have some things in common, but they are a little different and have different purposes and intentions. So most generally, I will say that a prayer is done when you're seeking something, when you have a question, and you kind of don't think that the answer could be found within yourself. Now, some may disagree with that. I think we've all been in a place in our life at some point where we just didn't think we had the answer. We've asked somebody for advice. We've called up a psychic. We've gone to ask somebody at the church or something like that. So there's been a lot of different opportunities probably within all of us where we didn't know the answer to something and really wanted something bigger than us, or more powerful than us to show us that answer. Even sometimes people use things like tarot to get an answer. So my point is that I think a lot of times people will use prayer as a method to seek an answer to a question. As far as meditation goes, I think it's more of a practice. Even though they can both be done daily and both are considered both spiritual practices, I think that it's more of a practice and technique to help us sort of apply clearer thinking and more balanced thinking and connecting our subconscious and our conscious, and something we would apply in our daily life. So for example, something that can be done each day to sort of get our mind right before we continue on with the day. I want to also add that as far as meditation goes, I do feel that when people embark on a meditation journey or decide to specifically go into meditation for the purpose of wisdom and enlightenment, I think they are already expecting to find some answers to whatever questions they may be facing. So I think that they are going into the meditation practice hoping that they come out of it with the answer to whatever their question is. So differently from prayer, where you are sort of placing your faith on something else to show you and give you these answers, in this meditation, you are going into it hoping and wanting to walk out of the meditation with knowing what you need to do or knowing how to further help your situation. As far as what I personally think on which one is more effective, I think when we rely on prayer too often, we are placing a lot of doubt in our own abilities to grow as a spiritual being and also as an individual, and to problem solve. So I think it's certainly best to try and attempt to figure out most things ourselves and to try to seek the answers from within. I feel like it is possible, even if you believe in a greater power or something, you know, a deity, something, your higher self, God, whatever it may be. I certainly feel like that it's a gift amongst all of us to have that knowledge from that higher being placed inside of us. So I certainly do think that we can achieve you know, enlightenment, greatness, whatever you want to call it, by seeking and going within through meditation. I think that it's possible to grow and learn and get answers from meditation most of all. I do understand prayer, and I certainly absolutely understand and do not disparage against anybody that chooses to practice prayer if they're going through a situation. Maybe they've had a great loss or are in a pretty tough situation and they just want somebody to send them thoughts. So that's a situation where I would say prayer is really awesome, because it's almost like an energy or love that you're sending to that person. And so me personally, I think that prayer is best when it's used for another person, to send them your love, your regards, your condolences, your energy. I think meditation is best when it's used for yourself to figure things out and find out answers that you are seeking. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. I don't want to make it too long today. I am going to be bringing you guys some new stuff soon. I definitely want to hear your comments below about what you think about this topic. Give me your thoughts, your opinions. If you liked the video today, please make sure you give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to click the bell notification so that way you get a notification every time I come out with something new. So I hope you guys have an awesome day and an even better new year. So talk to you guys later. Bye.